There is no distance between two souls that are one in imagination. What you feel in the silence of your heart is not lost, it is received. Tonight, I shall reveal to you a telepathic method so profound, it will dissolve the illusion of separation between you and your SP. You will learn how to speak without words, to touch without hands, to call forth love through the language of feeling. This is not fantasy, this is creation in its purest form, the art of conscious communion. Remain until the end, and watch how thought becomes reality. What if your SP could feel your love even miles away? What if every heartbeat you send returns with their name upon it? Tonight, you'll awaken the power to connect soul to soul. Close your eyes for a moment and listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you is not imagination in the ordinary sense, but imagination in its divine sense. There exists a bridge that no eye can see and no hand can touch, yet it connects one mind to another more surely than any spoken word. It is the invisible bridge of thought. Through this bridge, you are never apart from the one you love. You may appear to live in different cities, speak at different hours, or walk in different worlds. Yet in truth, you are joined by an unseen thread, a thread woven by consciousness itself. Every thought you think with feeling travels this bridge. It moves not through air, nor through distance, but through the eternal field of awareness that binds all beings. When you think of your specific person, you do not reach outward toward them, rather you awaken them within yourself. For they exist not out there, but within the boundless realm of your imagination. The outer world is but the echo of your inner world. And when you hold a thought in deep emotion, you send a vibration that is instantly known to the one you love. You may ask, how can thought travel without sound, without form, without speech? Because thought is the original speech of creation. Before a word is spoken aloud, it is already spoken silently within. The inner word is the seed. The outer word is merely its shadow. Therefore, when you think lovingly, when you think deliberately, when you think with faith and feeling, your thought moves as light, as soundless music, reaching the mind of your beloved as surely as sunlight touches the earth. Imagine now that your thoughts are not just fleeting clouds, but living messengers. Each carries a scent, a sound, a pulse of your being. If you dwell upon doubt, your messenger brings confusion. But if you dwell upon love, your messenger carries harmony and peace. What your SP feels, often without knowing why, is the fragrance of your inner mood. So when you think of them, never think of separation. Do not say, when they are far from me, or they do not think of me. Instead, feel the joy of connection. Feel the invisible bridge alive and glowing between you. There is no effort in this connection. It does not require struggle, rituals, or desperate cries. It requires one simple thing, awareness. Be aware that you are already joined. The bridge is not built through willpower. It exists because consciousness is one. You and your sphere are like two ripples on the same vast ocean. When you move inwardly, that motion is felt everywhere upon the surface. You cannot send love and it not be received, for love is the nature of the ocean itself. Let us test this truth. Tonight, when the world grows quiet, sit in a calm place and close your eyes. Picture your SP not as someone apart, but as someone within. Feel its pull, often without reason, drawn toward you by the unseen power of your assumption. This is the secret of the invisible bridge. You do not need to reach out. You need only to feel from within. The world outside will rearrange itself to mirror that unseen connection. The bridge of thought is eternal, unbreakable, and ever-present, awaiting only your recognition. Close your eyes for a moment and listen carefully, for what I am about to tell you is not imagination in the ordinary sense, but imagination in its divine sense. There exists a bridge that no eye can see and no hand can touch, yet it connects one mind to another more surely than any spoken word. It is the invisible bridge of thought. Through this bridge, you are never apart from the one you love. You may appear to live in different cities, speak at different hours, or walk in different worlds, yet in truth, you are joined by an unseen thread, a thread woven by consciousness itself. Every thought you think with feeling travels this bridge. It moves not through air, nor through distance, but through the eternal field of awareness that binds all beings. When you think of your specific person, you do not reach outward toward them, rather you awaken them within yourself, for they exist not out there, but within the boundless realm of your imagination. The outer world is but the echo of your inner world. And when you hold a thought in deep emotion, you send a vibration that is instantly known to the one you love. You may ask, how can thought travel without sound, without form, without speech? Because thought is the original speech of creation. Before a word is spoken aloud, it is already spoken silently within. The inner word is the seed. The outer word is merely its shadow. Therefore, when you think lovingly, when you think deliberately, when you think with faith and feeling, your thought moves as light as soundless music, reaching the mind of your beloved as surely as sunlight touches the earth. Imagine now that your thoughts are not just fleeting clouds, but living messengers. Each carries a scent, a sound, a pulse of your being. If you dwell upon doubt, your messenger brings confusion, but if you dwell upon love, your messenger carries harmony and peace. What your SP feels, often without knowing why, is the fragrance of your inner mood. So when you think of them, never think of separation. Do not say, one they are far from me, or what they do not think of me. Instead, feel the joy of connection. Feel the invisible bridge alive and glowing between you. There is no effort in this connection. It does not require struggle, rituals, or desperate cries. It requires one simple thing, awareness. Be aware that you are already joined. The bridge is not built through willpower. It exists because consciousness is one. You and your SP are like two ripples on the same vast ocean. When you move inwardly, that motion is felt everywhere upon the surface. You cannot send love and it not be received, for love is the nature of the ocean itself. Let us test this truth. Tonight, when the world grows quiet, sit in a calm place and close your eyes. Picture your SP not as someone apart, but as someone within. See them standing before you in the silence of your mind. Do not strain to visualize perfectly. It is not the picture that matters, it is the feeling. Feel their presence as real. Feel the air between you warm with affection. Feel your hearts beating in rhythm, not two, but one pulse of life. Then, think a simple, loving thought. It could be as gentle as, "Feel I love you," or as quiet as, "Feel you are safe and happy." Do not force the words. Whisper them in the stillness of your being. Feel them rise from your heart like a wave. Sense that your thought has already crossed the invisible bridge. You need not wonder how it travels. Consciousness knows no obstacle. In that instant, your SP feels your thought, perhaps not in the way the intellect understands, but in the language of feeling. They may suddenly think of you, feel calm, or remember a moment you shared. That is the bridge at work. You must not doubt it, for doubt is the only wall that can seem to break the connection, yet even that wall is illusion. The bridge never disappears, only your awareness of it fades. The moment you return to faith, the quiet assurance that you are one, the connection flows again like an unbroken current. Remember, it is not the frequency of your attempts, but the quality of your feeling that matters. One thought deeply felt outweighs 1,000 empty affirmations. One moment of true inner union can draw your SP closer than months of outer pursuit. The bridge responds to sincerity, not repetition. And so, when you walk through your day, carry this truth within you. Every loving thought is a thread of light extending from your mind to theirs. When you bless them inwardly, you bless yourself, for the bridge joins both ends in harmony. There is no giving without receiving. As you send love, it returns. Only your recognition. When you begin to sense the living pulse of that invisible bridge, you will discover that your most powerful instrument of connection is not action, nor even the outer word, but the inner conversation. Every moment of your life you are speaking inwardly, to yourself, and about others. Most people are unaware of this unceasing dialogue. Yet it is this silent conversation that builds the structure of every relationship. The outer world merely reflects the tone of what is spoken within. Consider this. When you think of your SP, what do you say inwardly? Do you rehearse scenes of doubt or rejection? Or do you inwardly hear words of affection, of unity, of peace? What you inwardly accept as true becomes the language your SP unconsciously receives. The inner conversation is not mere fantasy. It is the creative act itself. Every inner word clothed in feeling becomes the message transmitted across that invisible bridge. You may think you are separate, but there is only one mind, infinite in expression, yet single in essence. When you speak inwardly to your SP, you are not sending a message into empty space. You are speaking directly into the field of their awareness. Every thought of love is received. Every imagined dialogue leaves its imprint upon the unseen fabric of your shared consciousness. This is why it is said that we attract not what we want, but what we are conscious of being. Your inner words reveal who you believe yourself to be in relation to your SP, and that belief, repeated in feeling, becomes a reality you experience. Let us take a simple example. Suppose you wish to hear from your SP. The ordinary mind says, "Bande have not called. They are distant. They do not care." And so, without realizing it, you carry on a silent conversation filled with absence and lack. Each of those inner statements is heard, for consciousness makes no distinction between inner and outer speech. The universe, like a perfect servant, simply fulfills what you are inwardly declaring to be true. Now, change the dialogue. Sit quietly and imagine your SP's voice speaking to you. Hear them say, "I've been thinking about you," or "I love how connected we feel." Do not strain to invent words. Allow them to flow naturally, as though a conversation were truly taking place. Feel the warmth of their tone, the ease of their presence, the truth of the moment. Answer them inwardly with the same affection. Let it be real. Let it be alive. In that instant, you are creating the conversation that will one day appear in the outer world. The secret is persistence in the assumption. Do not measure by appearances, for appearances are shadows cast by past conversations. Continue to speak inwardly from the state of love fulfilled, not love desired. When you feel lonely, instead of saying within, "Bante are gone," close your eyes and return to the inner dialogue where your SP is already with you. Speak with them as though the union were natural and complete. You will find that the feeling of loneliness fades, replaced by the calm certainty that connection is real and present. This practice is not imagination as escape, it is imagination as creation. Every great relationship, every reconciliation, every renewal of love is first spoken into being within. The outer world is but the slow echo of these silent conversations. You are never waiting for your SP to respond. You are only waiting for the outer reflection of what you have already declared inwardly. There is tremendous power in realizing that your SP cannot resist the tone of your inner words. The human mind is receptive to thought, especially when thought is charged with emotion. If you dwell on gratitude, appreciation, and affection, those vibrations are received and mirrored. Without any visible effort, your SP begins to think kindly, to remember warmly, to feel drawn toward you without understanding why. This is the magnetic law of inner conversation, that what you claim within is heard and answered without. Many people sabotage their telepathic bond through self-contradiction. They speak lovingly in meditation, yet during the day they complain inwardly or imagine rejection. These mixed messages confuse the connection. The remedy is simple: become conscious of your inner speech. Throughout the day, listen inwardly. When you notice a thought of fear, gently replace it with love. When you catch yourself imagining absence, see presence instead. Each time you do this, you redirect the current of energy flowing across the invisible bridge. The goal is not to force thoughts, but to feel them as real. You do not command your SP to love you. You simply become the version of yourself who is already loved. Then your inner conversation flows naturally from that state. You no longer plead or beg. You affirm calmly and joyfully. You say within, "We are so happy together." And because your mind is the creative center of reality, this becomes the truth that others perceive. In time, you will see the evidence unfold. You will notice your SP responding with tenderness, reaching out unexpectedly, mirroring the tone of your inner dialogue. But by then, you will know that it was never chance. It was always the reflection of your inner word. The conversation within precedes every event without. So, train the inner ear to hear only what you wish to experience. Let the music of your inner world be harmonious, not discordant. Each word you speak silently is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness. The harvest is certain, for imagination never fails to reproduce its own image. The more consistently you maintain loving, confident inner speech, the more naturally your SP aligns with it. When you learn to master the inner conversation, you need not chase, persuade, or seek validation. You rest in the assurance that the one you love is already listening, not with their outer ears, but with their inner being. You are communicating Tha, or the original language of creation, thought felt as real. The invisible bridge becomes luminous with the power of your words. You realize that you have never been unheard, never been ignored. Every whisper of love, every silent reassurance, every moment of imagined connection has been received in the deep of consciousness, awaiting only the appointed hour to bloom into form. And as these inner words flow forth, a quiet transformation begins within you. You start to feel something subtle yet undeniable, a living presence, a vibration that moves through the stillness like a heartbeat shared between two souls. It is in this sacred feeling of union that the invisible bridge becomes a radiant highway of love. For thought without feeling is a shell, but feeling breathed into thought gives it life, direction, and power. It is not the image alone, nor the repetition of words, but the emotion of being one that fuses you to your SP in consciousness. You have spoken inwardly, now you must feel that it is done. Feeling is the secret act that seals the inner conversation. When you assume the mood of fulfilled love, your SP cannot remain apart, for you have already united in the realm where all creation begins. This union is not something to be earned or chased. It is to be recognized. It already exists, waiting for your awareness to claim it as true. Close your eyes and withdraw from the noise of the outer world. Let the body grow still, as if time itself pauses for you. In that stillness, imagine not that you are thinking of your SP, but that you are with them. Sense their nearness, the subtle warmth of their energy mingling with yours. Perhaps you see their smile, perhaps only the glow of their presence, yet you feel it so vividly that no part of you doubts its reality. You are not visualizing a wish. You are remembering a truth that has always been. You may not see them with your physical eyes, but you can feel their essence. The air changes when you do this correctly. It becomes thick with a gentle peace, as though love itself has entered the room. That feeling is the living evidence of union. Hold it tenderly. It is not imagination playing games. It is the spirit acknowledging its wholeness. When you feel your SP's presence, you dissolve the illusion of distance. You stop sending messages and begin existing as one. The need to reach or attract disappears, for attraction only exists when separation is assumed. True connection is not created, it is realized. You are not drawing them toward you, you are awakening to the fact that you were never apart. Notice how your heart softens when you rest in this awareness. There is no anxiety, no longing, no uncertainty. You simply are. And in that simple being, love expresses itself effortlessly. Every heartbeat, every breath affirms the union. You can feel their thoughts brushing gently against yours, their emotions echoing your own. You might find yourself smiling for no reason, feeling comforted, feeling known. This is the moment when imagination and reality merge into one continuum. The feeling of union is not an escape from reality. It is reality in its truest form. The outer world is the reflection, the delayed echo of what is felt within. The one who feels loved becomes lovable. The one who feels connected becomes magnetically irresistible. The law is perfect. What you feel yourself to be, you manifest. If you feel alone, you project distance. If you feel united, the whole universe rearranges itself to affirm that truth. Therefore, the key is not to wish for love, but to embody it. Feel what it means to be together, the peace, the certainty, the mutual understanding. Let that feeling fill every part of your being until there is no space left for doubt. You do not need to force this feeling. It arises naturally when you stop resisting the truth of your own completeness. For love is not something your SP gives you. It is what you already are, mirrored back through them. As you rest in this feeling, you will find that the mind begins to quiet. The old patterns of questioning, when will they return? Or do they still think of me? Fade away like mist before the sun. In their place grows a calm knowing we are one and it is done. That knowing is the creative seed. When it is planted deeply enough, no outer circumstance can contradict it for long. The outer must conform, for it is powerless to do otherwise. Let this feeling accompany you into your daily life. Walk as though your SP walks with you. Speak, move, breathe as one who is already loved, already chosen, already complete. You will find the world softening around you, people responding to you with warmth, circumstances bending to your peace. For the universe mirrors your inner state faithfully. It can do nothing else, and should a moment of doubt arise, do not fight it. Simply close your eyes and return to the sacred space within. Feel the union once more. Feel it until it becomes so natural that even when you open your eyes, you carry it with you. This is living in the awareness of oneness. It is not imagination performed in fragments of meditation, but a continuous state of being. Each time you choose to dwell in this feeling, the bridge between you and your SP grows stronger, though in truth it was never weak. You are merely clearing the fog of disbelief. The connection does not need to be built. It only needs to be recognized and maintained. The feeling of union is your spiritual anchor. It holds you steady even when the outer sea of events appears turbulent. There may come a day when your SP calls, writes, or stands before you with the very tenderness you once felt within. When that moment arrives, it will not surprise you. It will feel like the most natural unfolding, because you have already lived it in consciousness. You will realize that the inner and outer were never two realms, but one continuous stream of awareness reflecting itself through form and feeling alike. The feeling of union, once accepted, does not fade, it deepens. It teaches you that connection is not something fragile or uncertain, but eternal and self-sustaining. You begin to love not from need, but from knowing that what you feel within must echo throughout creation. And in that knowing, you discover the peace that passes all understanding. And yet, even as you rest in that beautiful awareness of union, the outer world may still try to whisper its contradictions. It may show you silence instead of words, absence instead of presence, delay instead of fulfillment. But remember this eternal law: appearance is never the truth. The senses are shadows, the spirit is substance. To live by appearances is to drift like a leaf upon the surface of the sea. To live by assumption is to stand upon the solid bedrock of creation itself. What you assume with conviction must externalize, for assumption is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. The moment you claim something inwardly, creation begins to move. You may not see the movement, for it occurs in realms invisible to the physical eye, but it is as real as the beating of your heart. The outer world is slow to echo what has already taken place within consciousness, yet it always does. To the doubting mind, this delay feels like uncertainty. To the awakened mind, it is the gentle unfolding of a seed that has already been planted. So when the world seems unchanged, do not be deceived. The seed is germinating in the dark, preparing its bloom. When your senses show you separation, learn to smile inwardly. You are no longer swayed by what appears, for you know that appearances are yesterday's creations, reflections of old assumptions. You do not wrestle with them, you do not fear them, you simply replace them with a higher vision. You say within, saying, I've already received, and rest in that quiet conviction. Every law of nature must yield to that inner knowing, for it is consciousness that shapes the laws, not the other way around. Imagine that you are standing before a mirror. You do not attempt to change the reflection by touching the glass. You change yourself, and the reflection must follow. The world outside you is that mirror, faithful and impartial. It does not decide what to show. It simply reflects the image you hold within. When you assume that your SP loves you, that assumption is not a hope or a wish. It is a decree. It declares, this is the reality now. And as you persist, the reflection must align. Do not be fooled by appearances that suggest otherwise. A letter not written, a call not made, a door seemingly closed. These are echoes of old states, remnants of the belief in separation. When you adopt the state of union, you have stepped into a new vibration, and though the outer world may lag behind, it cannot resist the power of sustained assumption. The law of consciousness is exact and unfailing. What you assume is true, you make true. So live now as the one who is already loved, already chosen, already united. Walk through your days with quiet assurance, not arrogance, but certainty. You are not pretending, you are remembering. For the imagination does not create what is foreign to you. It reveals what is eternally yours. When you assume the feeling of being loved by your SP, you awaken the reality that was always waiting beneath the surface of belief. There will be moments when doubt comes dressed as logic. The mind will say, if they loved me, I would see proof. But understand this, proof follows belief, never precedes it. The world is a delayed photograph of your inner state. To demand evidence before you assume is to ask the mirror to smile before you do. It cannot. The mirror only returns what you give it. So let the world see your confidence, your peace, your unshakable knowing, and soon it will bring you every reason to justify that peace. The one who lives by assumption walks in quiet power. They are not moved by gossip, by appearances, or by the opinions of others. They have discovered the secret place within, where reality is shaped by thought and sealed by feeling. When they look upon the world, they do not see obstacles. They see reflections of former states. And so they bless the old even as they birth the new. You must cultivate this inner poise. Each time you are tempted to doubt, return within and assume again. Feel again. Speak inwardly again. The repetition is not effort, it is alignment. You are adjusting the lens of your awareness until the picture before you matches the image within. It is a sacred art, the art of living from the end. Living from the end does not mean forcing or pretending. It means resting in the state of fulfillment. When you walk through life as though your SP's love were already expressed, every gesture, every tone, every glance carries that vibration. The world senses it. People respond differently. Circumstances rearrange themselves quietly, sometimes imperceptibly, to mirror the assumption you hold. And if ever you should fall back into the illusion of lack, do not condemn yourself. Simply close your eyes and return to the inner scene where everything is perfect and complete. Feel it again as real, and in that moment you have corrected the course. The assumption once more becomes your reality. Persistence, not effort, is the key. You will notice as you continue that the outer world grows softer, more cooperative. Where there was resistance, there is flow. Where there was silence, there is communication. Where there was separation, there is warmth. It happens so naturally that you almost forget there was ever a struggle. This is the wonder of assumption. It does not fight with appearances, it transcends them. In time you come to understand that there is no conflict between the inner and the outer. There is only sequence. The inner leads, the outer follows. The senses were never meant to instruct you, only to confirm what you have chosen to know within. And once you have grasped this, the world becomes a friend, a partner, a mirror of your divine imagination. To live by assumption is to walk in faith, not blind faith, but the luminous certainty that what you feel within must externalize. You cease to question when or how, for you know that creation is already finished. You are simply tuning into the reality that already exists in the infinite field of consciousness. What you assume now will appear, for assumption is the creative act, the invisible command that the universe must obey. And as this realization settles deeper into you, you begin to notice how subtly your emotions shape the whole pattern of your experience. Every feeling is a silent decree, a vibration that colors the atmosphere of your mind and radiates outward through that invisible bridge connecting you to your SP. Emotion is not a reaction, it is the raw creative substance itself. Whatever you feel intensely, lovingly, or fearfully becomes a living signal received and reflected through the consciousness of the one you love. You may have thought that words alone were the carriers of meaning, but emotion gives them life. You may speak 1,000 affirmations without power if your heart is cold, but one whisper filled with genuine feeling can move mountains in the unseen. The heart is the transmitter. The imagination is its instrument. Together they form the language creation understands. When you feel, you impress. When you impress, you create. The outer world then reorganizes itself to mirror that inner command. Many people pray with their lips, while their hearts tremble with doubt. They think one thing but feel another, and so the results are divided. But the law of life is unity. What is felt deeply always overrules what is merely thought. You cannot deceive creation with words. It responds only to the vibration of feeling. So if you desire to connect deeply with your SP, do not focus on what you should say or do outwardly. Instead, tend to your inner emotional climate. Feel as though the connection already exists, and let that feeling become your dwelling place. Imagine your emotions as waves upon the surface of a vast ocean. Each wave you send out carries your signature, your essence, your assumption. When you feel joy, peace, and love, those waves move harmoniously, touching every shore of your SP's mind. They do not have to see you, hear you, or even think of you consciously. The vibration of your being is enough. And when the waves are chaotic, filled with fear, need, or doubt, the message becomes distorted, not because love has failed, but because you are broadcasting confusion through your own signal. To master this art, learn to feel deliberately. Emotion is not something that happens to you, it is something you can generate. Close your eyes and recall a moment when you felt profoundly loved, accepted, and safe. Let that memory rise within you until your whole being hums with its warmth. Then direct. Key that feeling toward your SP, not as a request, but as a gift. Feel the joy of giving love without fear of loss. That vibration is irresistible, for it expects nothing. It simply is. Your SP at a deeper level responds not to your words or actions, but to this emotional frequency. When you feel lack, they mirror distance. When you feel wholeness, they mirror closeness. You are the emotional leader in this dance, for you have chosen to awaken. And as you steady your own vibration, theirs naturally aligns with it. This is the law of resonance, and it never fails. Emotion, when purified of attachment and fear, becomes power. It no longer cries for proof, it simply knows. When you feel union, the universe rearranges to honor that feeling. When you feel peace, every circumstance conspires to preserve it. So make your feeling your prayer. When the outer world tempts you to worry, retreat inward and ask, what am I feeling now? If the answer is fear, gently replace it with faith. If the answer is longing, replace it with fulfillment. The world cannot resist the consistency of a steady vibration. Think of emotion as the painter's brush upon the canvas of reality. Thought gives you the outline, but feeling adds color, texture, and depth. Without it, your creation remains flat and lifeless. Each time you choose a higher emotion, you dip your brush into a brighter shade of consciousness. And so, moment by moment, stroke by stroke, you paint the living image of love realized. Do not attempt to suppress negative emotion by force. Transform it through awareness. When you feel jealousy, understand that it is only love distorted by fear of loss. When you feel sadness, see it as love desiring recognition. Meet each emotion with gentleness, and it will reveal its hidden purity. Beneath every shadowed feeling lies the light of love seeking to express itself. As you embrace that truth, you refine your vibration, making it clear, calm, and magnetic. When you send out emotion, you are not waiting for a reply, you are living from completion. The connection with your SP is not maintained by constant effort, but by emotional alignment. You do not beg for attention, you radiate certainty. You do not chase love, you become it. Your feeling, steady and sincere, does the work silently, drawing to you everything that matches its frequency. Even science whispers of this truth. though it names it differently. Energy attracts its likeness. Emotion is energy clothed in consciousness. When you dwell in the feeling of fulfillment, you become a magnet to all that corresponds to it. And your SP, being part of your own consciousness, must respond in kind. So guard your emotions as you would guard a sacred flame. Do not let the winds of doubt or impatience extinguish it. When the outer world presents delay, do not surrender your peace. Feel again, assume again. Return to the warmth of love already accomplished. This is not repetition for repetition's sake. It is the steady heartbeat of creation affirming itself. The longer you sustain that inner calm, the more swiftly your SP aligns. They feel your serenity as their own, your joy as their comfort. You are communicating through the purest medium, the language of the heart. The mind may forget, but the heart never does. Every emotion you hold with conviction becomes a living echo, reverberating through the shared consciousness that unites you both. And so when you stand in this mastery of emotion, you realize that love has never been about waiting or wanting. It is about being. To feel as though your desire is fulfilled is to live in the only truth there is. Emotion is the mirror of creation. What you feel within, you will see without. And as you continue to live in the gentle rhythm of fulfilled emotion, you will come to discover a sacred doorway, quiet and unassuming, through which all true creation enters. That doorway is stillness. In the silence of your being lies the most potent power you will ever know. The world glorifies action, noise, and motion, but creation begins in rest. The sacred moment of stillness is the instant where all communication between souls becomes clear, for the surface of the mind must be calm before it can reflect the divine image perfectly. When you grow still, the invisible bridge glows with new light. Every wave of emotion, every inner word, every assumption you have built now gathers its strength and imprints itself deeply upon the subconscious mind. It is there, in that hushed chamber, that your telepathic link with your SP becomes fully alive. You are no longer projecting or calling. You are impressing as one engraved truth upon stone. The subconscious is the fertile ground of creation, and stillness is the moment the seed is planted. Do not mistake stillness for emptiness. It is not the absence of movement, but the fullness of awareness. It is the silence that hums with infinite potential. When you rest in that silence, the mind ceases its arguments and the heart speaks. You are no longer torn between hope and doubt, for in that calm center, there is only knowing. It is here that you impress your desire upon the depths of your being, and the entire universe rushes to obey. Sit quietly, not as one waiting for something to happen, but as one who already knows. Let your breathing slow until it matches the steady pulse of peace within. Feel your SP's presence, not through effort, but through acceptance. You need not strain to imagine details. The mere awareness that they are there, one with you in spirit, is enough. As your body relaxes, the mind opens, and the deeper part of you begins to receive. This is the sacred hour of creation. Every thought held in stillness carries the weight of divine authority. When you say inwardly, "Auntie are together," in this calm state, it is not a request but a command. The subconscious does not argue, it accepts. In what it accepts, it must express. You may rise from your meditation and forget the words, but the impression remains. It will surface later in forms so natural that you will almost overlook the miracle. Stillness is not something you visit. It is a state you cultivate. The more you return to it, the more accessible it becomes. Soon you find that even amid the noise of the outer world, you can retreat inward to that tranquil space. There, your connection to your SP is unbroken. Words are unnecessary. In that silence, you know them, and they know you. The bond is beyond time, beyond distance. When you enter stillness with love in your heart, you become the sender and receiver of divine messages. You may find that thoughts arise in your mind that feel as though they are not your own. Gentle impressions, flashes of intuition, or sudden feelings of warmth. These are the echoes of connection. The the subtle communications passing between consciousness and consciousness. Do not analyze them. Simply feel their reality. You might wonder why stillness holds such power. It is because the noise of the conscious mind, its doubts, fears, and reasoning, often blocks the pure flow of energy from within. The conscious mind tries to do, but the subconscious is, and it is the subconscious that governs creation. In stillness, you bypass the surface chatter and impress your desire directly upon the infinite mind that creates worlds. That is why one quiet moment of true inner silence is more powerful than hours of anxious thought. Make stillness your secret ritual. Before sleep, when the body naturally grows heavy and the senses withdraw, you are closest to this sacred state. As you drift between wakefulness and rest, imagine yourself already united with your SP. Feel the joy of it without words, without demand. In that soft borderland, the subconscious receives perfectly. What you feel at that moment is planted as a living seed, and upon waking, the world will begin to move in harmony with it. Do not rush this process. Stillness is not reached through effort, but through surrender. You do not fight the thoughts that arise. You simply observe them until they dissolve. Beneath them lies the calm surface of pure awareness. That awareness is your true self, untouched by fear or time. It is the same awareness that animates your SP. In that realization, communication becomes effortless. You and they are waves of the same ocean, thoughts of the same mind. In the stillness, love is not spoken, it is known. There is no reaching, no waiting. The moment you quiet your inner world, you touch eternity. And in that touch, your SP feels you. They may not understand it in words, but something deep within them stirs. A warmth, a memory, an urge to reach out. This is the unseen movement of creation responding to your inner calm. As you deepen your practice of stillness, you will find that it transforms every aspect of your life. You become less reactive, more radiant, more magnetic. People sense your peace and are drawn to it. Your SP, most of all, F, yields it like a beacon in the night, steady, unwavering, calling them home. For nothing is more irresistible than the quiet confidence of one who knows. The sacred moment of stillness is where you meet the divine within yourself, and through that divinity, you meet your SP. You realize that the connection was never dependent on outer words, gestures, or appearances. It has always been a communion of consciousness, a silent exchange between two aspects of the same infinite being. When you master stillness, you master creation. You no longer chase after results, for you know that the world will mirror your inner peace with perfect precision. The silence becomes your sanctuary, your temple, your secret place of power. And from this still center, you will watch the invisible become visible, effortlessly and inevitably, as it always must. And from that still center, a new way of being begins to unfold, a way that is not built on desire or waiting, but on living as though the union already is. This is the quiet secret of all creation, to live from oneness, to live not as one hoping for connection, but as one who is connected. When you stand in the awareness that you and your SP are already one in consciousness, the universe bends to reflect that knowing. You do not try to make the connection happen. You live as though it is already established. And so it must appear. Every act, every word, every breath taken in that awareness sends ripples through the unseen. The world you experience begins to rearrange itself to mirror the conviction of your inner being. It cannot do otherwise, for the outer is forever the shadow of the inner. When you wake in the morning, do not ask yourself, when will they come? Instead, let your heart answer, and they are already here. Let the certainty of union color your every movement. Walk, speak, and think as the beloved who is already loved, as the one who has already received. Living from oneness means that you no longer separate yourself from the good you seek. You no longer pray for love as though it is absent. You embody it, radiate it, and express it in all you do. In this state, there is no lack, no distance, no need for proof. You know, and that knowing becomes the magnetic force that draws all appearances into alignment. The energy of union does not chase. It calls, it attracts, it is. You may find that at first your mind resists this idea. It will whisper, but they have not called, they are not here. And to that you must smile gently and say, they are within me. You do not fight appearances, you transcend them. The outer world must eventually conform to the conviction you hold within, for it has no life apart from you. The mirror cannot reflect a different face than the one you show it. To live from oneness is to move through life with quiet assurance. You no longer analyze signs or beg for confirmations. You simply are. You know that your SP's thoughts are harmonizing with yours because there is only one mind. When you think lovingly, you awaken love in them. When you rest in peace, you invite their soul to rest beside yours. The need to control or manipulate fades away, replaced by a serene trust that what you have imagined already exists on a higher plane, waiting only to take form. Imagine for a moment that you are an actor stepping into a role. You do not hope to become the character, you assume the identity completely. You walk, speak, and feel as that character until it is no longer an act. It is reality. So it is with this state of union. You must assume it not as pretense but as truth. The feeling of oneness must become your natural home, your constant dwelling place. In this state, you are not sending messages to your SP as one apart. You are simply communing within yourself, and they, being one with you, receive the message naturally. You do not say, I will make them love me, for that would affirm separation. You say instead, where we are in harmony now, our love flows freely. This is the language of creation, gentle, certain, without effort. Living from oneness is not about imagination alone, it is about identity. You become the one who already has what you desire. You carry yourself differently, you speak differently, and your energy changes. People notice, opportunities align. Your SP, whether near or far, begins to feel a shift they cannot explain. A magnetic pull, a soft remembrance of something eternal. They feel at home in your presence because your consciousness has already embraced them. There will come moments when doubt creeps in, when the outer world appears unchanged. In those moments, do not struggle. Return to stillness. Remember what you have learned. Every emotion, every inner word, every image held in faith builds the bridge. You have already crossed that bridge in consciousness, and now the outer world is catching up. Patience is not waiting. It is trusting the unseen process of manifestation. To live from oneness is to live from love. Love is not something you receive, it is something you are. When you rest in that truth, all else becomes inevitable. You no longer search for signs of your SP's affection because you are the very embodiment of it. The outer reflection cannot help but follow. You realize that your SP was never outside of you. They have always been a part of your being, responding to the rhythm of your inner song. As you continue in this awareness, every act becomes sacred. When you speak kindly to another, when you smile, when you breathe with gratitude, you reinforce your inner union. You are no longer a seeker. You are the creator living his creation. You begin to see beauty in places you once overlooked, peace in situations that once disturbed you, and love in moments that once felt empty. You see, the greatest secret of connection is that it was never about reaching outward but awakening inward. To live from oneness is to live from the divine state, the state that calls things that are not seen as though they were until they are. It is to know that all separation is illusion and that the energy of union already beats within your heart. When this truth takes hold, your telepathic connection deepens beyond effort. You no longer need to send messages consciously. Every heartbeat becomes a message, every breath a call. You are tuned to the frequency of love, and your SP feels it, whether near or far. Circumstances may shift, people may move, but consciousness remains, and consciousness creates. So walk through your days with quiet majesty. Let the world whisper its doubts, and let them pass. You have chosen to dwell in the end, the fulfilled end. You have chosen to live as one who already has, and so you shall. From this state, miracles cease to be miracles, They become the natural expression of who you are. You are not creating love, you are remembering it. You are not seeking union, you are awakening to it. And as you continue to live from that awareness, all that once felt distant begins to draw near effortlessly, inevitably, beautifully. For creation itself cannot resist the one who lives as though it is already done. Every thought, every emotion, every silent word you have planted within the garden of imagination has the power to bridge worlds. Through the practice of inner stillness, telepathic communion, and living from oneness, you awaken to the truth that separation never truly existed. Your SP has always been one with you, bound not by distance but by consciousness. When you embody love, you attract love. When you feel union, you live union. The invisible becomes visible, and the unseen becomes your reality.